If you need a quick release, you say. If your mind's in need of peace, you say.
What's up, you filthy casuals? Gage Scapegoat here. So here's the thing. If there is one thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! That I love, it's the creative aspect. I would much rather profile a Beaver Warrior FTK deck that takes top 32 at an event, rather than the first place Pendulum deck that has 3 cards different than the last first place deck. Oh hey, my deck plays 2 of this instead of 1. Who cares? But here's the thing. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Community has the potential to overlook cards and decks, and a lot of times it's not really their fault. You know, when Dragoonides were starting to get some attention, when Tempest came out, and, you know, Zephyros came out, and all the other cards came out, like a Tomb, like, who actually thought about Garuda the Wind Spirit? Like, the card is amazing in the deck. In my opinion, it's staple, but it's, like, especially in combination with Tempest, it's broken, but it's what, a 10-year-old card plus? Like, who thinks of that? But in my opinion, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community has uncovered maybe half of the potential cards or decks to play to this very point at this very moment. Now, this kind of stuff obviously varies depending on the format, but I do have some examples. Now, in my opinion, one of the best cards in any Duelist Alliance format really ever was Different Dimension Ground. Because Macro and DeFi are still limited for some reason, and Banisher can get run over by normal summons versus like the Shadal deck, for example. Chaining Different Dimension Ground to a well-timed El-Shadow fusion would absolutely shatter the entire deck. You know, during both E-Dragon formats, one of the best decks of the format was Gravekeepers. Smashes Spellbook, smashes Evil Swarm, especially if you pack things like Guard and Fossildyna, and it absolutely shatters the entire Dragon deck. Like, what are they going to do? Heavy Storm you? A lot of them weren't playing MST, so okay, Heavy Storm, cool. Starlight and Bribe, next. You know, Barrier Statues, for example, are a deck that's actually caught on in recent months, and for good reason. It smashes most Pendulum decks, and it absolutely destroys decks like Dark Lords and Zodiacs if you go first. And if you pack things like Dark Hole and Regeki and stuff like that, it basically makes the entire deck crumble. You know, but these are all basically anti-meta strategies, so inherently a fraction of the community is going to catch on to it. But in my opinion, here's another example. Like, in my opinion, one of the best normal summons in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Cosmo Wickedwitch. I built an entire deck around it and played it at Nationals and smashed every BA, PK Fire, Cosmo, and Monarch deck I played, except for one BA guy who stalled until we went into sudden death and blah blah blah. But here's the thing. That deck was specifically built to beat that specific meta. But you play cards like Kaiser Coliseum, we'll say, Necro Valley, things like that were amazing against the specific meta that we had at hand. You have so many different cards in the deck, and Wicked Witch works with pretty much all of them. Wicked Witch is an extremely versatile card. Wicked Witch works exceptionally with so many cards, ranging from Moonmirror Shield to Kaiser Coliseum to Dark Hole to Save Zone to Call of the Haunted. Immunity to destruction by battle and by card effect at the cost of 1,000 points, really. And if you really want to burn a Castel on it because you literally can't get around it by other ways, please do. And just hope that I don't have any backer to stop that play, if I even want to stop that play. It's this generation's wind-up rabbit, while also keeping field presence and not being nearly as vulnerable to attacks. These are cards and decks that really nobody's used in the past, or in a case like Gravekeepers, haven't really played past their heyday, at least a lot of people. And that's really unfortunate. In some cases, it makes you want to pull my damn hair out. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, even though it's a lot more work, and some people just flat out don't have the time, could truly benefit from trying more of their ideas. This goes back to creativity being not so much absent, but not as potent in the game right now. It's because a lot of people either they don't want to invest the time, they don't have the time to invest, or it's just easier to play certain decks than it is others. You know, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and everybody's story is different. You know, but they could truly benefit from trying more of their ideas. Like when Corey McDuffie played Scythe Control at ARG Orlando, for example, he had a little bit of a discussion at the end where he talked about how, while it's a lot more work to try more of their ideas, there's a good amount of benefit that a lot of duelists could benefit. Like, a lot of duelists could benefit from trying more of their ideas. Like, every idea I've basically ever had for a deck or tech card, I've at least given a shot. Some work, some don't. You know, right now I'm playing Wicked Witch Stun version 3. I'm probably going to profile it. It's a lot of fun. It's actually doing pretty well against the meta. But the reason why I'm kind of hesitant to profile is because Zodiacs are coming out, and I haven't tested it a bunch against Zodiacs, so we'll see what goes on there. But every idea that I've ever had, basically, I've tried. Some work better, some don't, but there's nothing wrong with trying them, and if it does work, it may work better than any other card you've tried thus far. There's so much untapped potential in the game. Nobody was... Inzectors were not on anybody's radar after Dragonfly went to 1 and Hornet went to 1. But what does Billy Brake do? He takes it to the top 8 of a YCS. Dolces weren't on anybody's radar, and then you have Alexander Thomas taking the top 32 of Nationals because he built his deck specifically to beat Spellbooks and Dragons, and to an extent Evil Swarm. It all comes down to a matter of strategy, and really that's what's cool about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it's this nice mix of strategy plus creativity plus, and then formats change and metas change like weekly, and it's this very interesting melding pot, we can say. But at the end of the day, I guess what my point in saying all this is that there's a lot of cards, there's well over, I think, 10,000 cards in the game. I think that the average player knows maybe 20% of them. If I'm looking for a lockdown support card or something like that, I'll literally go to YGO Pro and I'll just type in trap card and I'll just search through. I don't always get all the way through. Very seldomly do I get all the way through. I'll usually end up filtering through other stuff. But there's so much that a lot of us just don't take the time. Nobody really thought about Scythe Control, and then Corey McDuffie takes it and he brings to a 6-3 finish, I think. Which isn't bad, definitely. Like Storm, he just sent me a deck list of a 60-card control DDD deck that actually works pretty well. I've been messing around with Kaiju for the last couple of months. I've played around with Wickedwitch Stun. Trap Tricks actually are not a bad meta call right now. It's just a lot of people they overlook things, they don't give things enough of a shot, and that's what my channel's been about for I don't even know how long. It's about those cards, or it's about those decks that actually do very well, depending on the format. But it's not something that a lot of people are willing to give a chance. So that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Blackboard, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.